a lot of stories that we've been covering in the past year or two has been, unfortunately, a new kind of norm in the Hollywood industry of studios canceling projects. Sometimes late in the development process, sometimes after they've started shooting, and even sometimes after they're finished, which has never really been heard of before. I mean, there have been completed movies that then went to a shelf and never got released, but I mean, like a thing like a Batgirl, which, I mean, I think, especially after watching Madam Web, pretty thankful Batgirl never got released. Madam Web itself should have been released, but the Scooby-Doo, not Scooby-Doo. Well, Scooby-Doo was
Coyote
one
versus
as well.
Acme.
Coyote versus Acme. That not only did the studio shelf, but when then we put it up for sale, nobody else wanted it. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. Now, Disney has been in an interesting position where over the past couple of years under different leadership, they have gone really crazy with how much product they've been producing. And Bob Iger, after he came back as CEO, said, we need to cut back how much stuff we make. We're just kind of wearing things out. We're diluting our product. Well, he believes in that so much that apparently he's just confirmed that they have quietly, secretly, been canceling projects that have been at various stages of development already. We don't know which ones those are, but this comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter, who write the following, as Bob Iger said this: you have to kill things you no longer believe in. And that's not easy in this business because either you've gotten started or you have some sunk costs, or it's a relationship with either your employees or with the creative community. Iger said, it's not an easy thing, but you got to make those tough calls. We've actually made those tough calls. We've not been that public about it, but we've killed a few projects already that we just didn't feel were strong enough. All right. Let me start with the last thing he said there. You know the old saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link? I think there's some wisdom in saying, look, we can't just put out product for the sake of putting out product. Because when you put out bad product, people remember it and it sticks with them. And we saw that like with the DCEU, with this gradual decline as people just started giving up on the whole thing. And even when they did put out something that was pretty good, in my opinion, Flash, people didn't want to go because it's too late. Like you lost us, like you did all this bad stuff. The whole principle of saying, listen, we can't ship something out the door. It's the same in physical products, right? Like I remember Steve Jobs would talk about, hey, we would spend millions of dollars and years on developing a new product. But at the end of the day, when we realized it just wasn't as good as it should be, the public never saw it. And we would quietly kill it because we can't just put out something that isn't good enough. Now, listen, there are always going to be times that studios think their product is good enough and we as the audience don't agree. That's fair. That's totally fair. But when you as a studio know that you're making a product that is not good enough, do you just do what we've seen a lot of the last couple of years? Put it out anyway. Put out Morbius. Put out Madam Web. Just throw them out there. What could go wrong? Apparently a lot. Or do you make what Iger and some other studios have called make a hard decision saying, look, we know we're going to have to eat a loss on this. We know whatever. But for the overall long term, because you can't look short term, you always got to be a big picture person. It's better for us in the long run if we just don't release this, or we don't complete this, or we don't go into production on this, or in some cases, just scrap the one we've already finished. I know it's been very unpopular with people. And people get all mad when I say, listen, there's wisdom to it. They don't want to hear that. And I get it. That's fine. But it doesn't stop it from being true. And it's kind of interesting hearing the way Bob Iger phrases that, saying, listen, this sucks. Because as a company, we're a business. We don't want to lose money. We don't want to sink money into something and then not get a return on it. Of course we don't. Just like Apple doesn't want to make something and then not release it to the public, or, you know, Ford maybe spend millions on a test concept car and then it never goes to market. Nobody wants to do that, but sometimes you got to make the hard decision. And I now, Rob and Ray and Jonathan, what I am really curious about now is, which projects are we talking about?
Yeah, because they don't mention that.
No, he said we've been quietly, not publicly, killing some things at various stages. A couple, I'm going to guess maybe one or two of those, some Star Wars projects that we've heard about, whether it's the Taika Waititi thing, the Kevin Feige thing, whether it's like whatever else.
Rian Johnson's trilogy.
I mean, look, like that one was never alive. I don't care what anybody says.
Man, that joke is old school, man.
Yeah, that goes back now. Is it Blade? Is it?
Oh no, Ray.
You would say that.
No, I'm just saying. Or is it a significant? I'm sure there's a Pixar project or two in there. So it also leaves me really, really curious. Which projects are we talking about, Bob? We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Factor. You know, guys, some days it's great to prepare your own meal, but some days it's great to have wonderful, delicious meals already ready to go. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals makes eating better every day easy. Wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. You'll have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, and more. And there's even more to enjoy with over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. So what are you waiting for? Get started today and have a feel-good week of meals ready to go. They've got snacks, smoothies, and more. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. And guys, you get to save. We've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. So guys, head to factormeals.com/Campea50 and use the code Campea50 to get 50% off. That's code Campea50 at factormeals.com/Campea50 to get 50% off. Anyway, Rob, this has been a thing going on in the business now for a little while. It's a general topic we've had to cover a couple times. Not so specifically the way Iger just put it. What do you think of Iger's comments?
Well, look, they have to do something. They've got to, their share price is eking back up. They need to make sure that the business is sound. I mean, Hollywood's a mess right now, and I think that these are the tough decisions that people have to make in Bob Iger's position, and I think he's being responsible to his shareholders and to the art itself. I mean, do we need to see another Quantum Mania? Do we need to see a film that's disappointing? Do we need to see a Marvels? I think what's interesting is both at Warner Brothers and at Disney, Marvel's significantly damages the Marvel brand. When a movie like Marvel's comes out and barely makes $200 million, when you're used to an average of $1 billion for those movies, and you're losing your own audience base. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, and these decisions should have been made before the film was greenlit. And I see this as responsible studio heading. Is that what you call it? Being a studio head, he's doing the responsible thing. We might not like it. It might not be something like, I want to see Mahershala Ali play Blade. It would bum me out if we're not going to get that Blade movie. But are we going to get that Blade movie? I mean, I'm like, how long have they been teasing it? They've been teasing his voices in the end of the Eternals. And it's like, how hard can it be to make a vampire movie? Apparently a lot.
We've seen a lot of bad vampire movies.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Come on.
Easy. By the way, I like the Marvels. I didn't love the Marvels, but I mean,
it's a sitcom.
I mean, look, the problem is they've sat down, they looked at this glut of Disney Plus content they put out that, with a couple of exceptions, like Ms. Marvel, WandaVision, have all been okay at best, terrible at worst. Looking at you, Secret Invasion.
I was so excited.
Oh, yeah. And now, I mean, the good news, if you're Marvel right now, the good news is the next thing you've got up is Deadpool.
Yeah, Fox project.
Yeah, well, it's
not really.
I know they bought it, but no,
they developed it. It's not like it was a Fox project in development before.
No,
Disney
it's
took
true,
it over.
but
it's a pure Disney thing.
It's still you're using two characters that are unproven at your own studio.
At your own studio, yeah. But listen, I'm still thrilled that we go back to the first trailer that came out, and the big question a lot of people had about, because Bob Iger's gone back on a couple of things he's always said. Like he said, we are a family thing. We're not going to do R-rated stuff. Kevin Feige himself said, we'll do Deadpool R, nothing else, but it sounds like Blade might be R now. But I know a lot of people's only apprehension about Deadpool is like, well, Disney's not going to really let it be Deadpool. And the first thing they do in a Super Bowl trailer, they make a joke about pegging. They make a joke about calling him Marvel Jesus. I mean, they're clearly going to go full.
Oh yeah,
scale
full
on
bore.
this.
And
they
by the
need
way,
it. They
I mean,
need
come
it.
on, who's not excited? I mean, especially after seeing that trailer, the movie looks hilarious. I hope it's the best thing in the world. I really do. I want it to be great.
They need it to be great.
It has to be great.
This has to be something that really, I'm not going to say it's as dire as the DC situation, as we talk about how, Superman Legacy, now known just as Superman, that it's got to be great. Like, they have to make that great. Not to the same level, but I would propose that Marvel is kind of in the same situation where they really need Deadpool to rejuvenate excitement around the MCU. And if anything can do it, it's this one.
And Iger actually more in that article, he says something we echo around here a lot, where he says he pushed back on the idea of superhero or franchise fatigue, saying a lot of people think it's audience fatigue. It's not audience fatigue. They want great films, and if you build it great, they will come. There are countless examples of that. So, I mean,
and he said right there in that comment there, bring that back up for a second. He says it's not. Iger said this, and this is what I've been saying all the time. He says it's not an accident that Marvel's first 33 films generated just under $30 billion at the box office.
Yeah,
you would think if it was just fatigue, it would have set in after 10.
Yeah, of course.
Or 11. It's not comic book movie fatigue. It is mediocrity fatigue. And I think Bob Iger recognizes that. And he said, okay, then we need to start getting rid of the mediocre. And we got to focus more on quality. And every idea that we start in production, obviously we think has the potential to be really good. But if at some point we realize it's not, like Captain America 4, either let Kevin Feige go and do extensive reshoots or kill it. To make sure that every time, it used to be, Rob, I lament this a lot. It used to be that when we went to a new Marvel movie in theaters, it was just assumed. It was a given that it was going to be awesome, right?
And we were all excited.
For like 8, 9, 10 years. It was just a given that it was going to be awesome, and therefore we could get excited and whatever. And now we've gone through a couple of years of, pull out a coin. Oh, no, this one's not good. I mean, at best, it's been a coin toss the last couple of years between the influx of the mediocre quality of stuff they put out on Disney Plus, with stuff like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, some not so strong stuff. I mean, they got to get this fixed. And Slim Shady said it. Trust Ryan Reynolds. Always. When you're in trouble, lean on a Canadian. They'll make it work. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about Bob Iger's comments? I mean, some would say, yeah, they're great, but maybe they're a little overdue. Is it too late? Is it just in time? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.